Hello, everyone. This is Leslie Jouflas with Trading Live Online, and I'd like to welcome you to your Daily 5. My website is Trading Live Online. If you'd like to stop by, you can find my contact there. And here's a couple of books I've written, Trade What You See, How to Profit from Pattern Recognition, and that covers the types of patterns that I use in trading. But today I would like to take a look at the indexes, the S&P 500. We're going to look at the SPX as well on a monthly chart, the NASDAQ, and the Dow Jones Industrial. All of the indexes have come up and traded to a resistance area. I'm going to show you where that is, and then we'll look at some areas that the market might be trading to this coming week. Okay, I'm going to start off today with the SPX, the monthly chart, so we can get kind of a longer term view. And for those of you that follow my videos here, well, first of all, thank you very much. And some of you might remember this chart from the last several months. If you're new, let me kind of just walk you through it. I'm using the lows around March 2020 here for the fib retracement. Sometimes when you're using Fibonacci retracements, sometimes, not always, but sometimes when there's a long tail like that, sometimes it's not always going to give you the most accurate Fibonacci retracement level to be watching, and that was the case here. Sometimes if you move it over, you see how this bar here, I've got the retracement near the open. It is the low of this bar, but if we look carefully at this chart, we can see this is really where this up move started from. So using that low, the market on the SPX had traded down to the 0.50 50% retracement. This is from March 2020. So we're looking at several months of bars. Here's their late 2021, early 2022, we had some sideways movement on the monthly bars, and then, of course, the extreme move to the downside. I have a few lines marked in dashed lines that are just highlighting some areas of support and resistance. This area of 4350 was marked in quite a while ago, and again, some of you might remember that level, but there was quite a bit of trading activity around that level above the 4300, even 4325. You can see that right around this area, just above 4,300. And so resistance was expected as the market moved back up into that price level. So this is taking the Fibonacci retracement now from the high down to the low. This is where the 0.382 retracement was. This is where the 0.50 retracement was from high to low here. Now, notice that so far this month, the month is not closed yet, so we still have several trading days left in the month of August, but so far the close is below this 0.50, and I suspect that we may stay below here for a little bit and start to do some kind of maybe back and forth. But you can see the trend line here. I'm going to show you another trend line on the daily chart in just a minute, and it's hit the resistance there as well. So let's move now. Oh, before we do, I wanted to mention a couple of the indicators here. This is the RSI. It had a divergence from late December early into the year, and the market with this move to the downside, the RSI also moved down. But interestingly, the low of this RSI is right around the 45 area, and that's actually, it's not exceeding this low here. This is actually from the March 2020 lows, and generally around the 40-ish area on the RSI is still in a bullish range. So on the longer term chart, the monthly chart was still in an overall bullish range. Now, what might change that is if the market starts to have like a serious decline again, and then we see the RSI break below these lows here. So the MACD is below it. Just have it shown as a histogram right now, but we can see on this move to the downside, we can see divergences and then a strong move to the downside, stronger than anything that we've seen the last several years. This blue line is just showing where the 2013 breakout to the upside occurred and this strong uptrend. So I just keep that on my chart to kind of remind me that it's there. So right now we might be seeing, more correction up on the MACD and also the RSI. So I've drawn a trend line on this RSI, and for right now, I would expect that if price moves up a bit more or corrects, it's moved down a bit, back up a bit, some back and forth, that the RSI may come back up to this level and test it. And from there, I'll be watching to see if there's any particular pattern setups that I use, or if we're back, into these resistance areas. Now, if we take a look at the S&P 500, we were just looking at the SPX. If you use the SPY, you can be looking at the SPY as well. The futures, sometimes we're going to give maybe a little bit more detailed view. We can certainly see some more price detail in this daily chart. But these trend lines are ones that I've had drawn on the chart for quite some time. When it hit the second peak, I was able to extend the trend line down, and I actually drew two of them. One was starting at the very, very peak, the very highest point, coming to the highest point here and extended down. And the second one, I was using, see if I can make that a little bit bigger so you can see. I was using this lower bar, and I was using the open of that bar and then extending down through the open and closes and projected that down. So here we can see that. So this trend line has been on, as I said, for several months now. So we can see that the price came from those lows right up to that trend line, and it's been found resistance there and has turned to the downside. Now this dash line here, if the market is able to come back up above this high, in the near future, I would be watching this trend line for resistance as well, and that's bringing the price back up around to that 43.50-ish area that we just looked at on the monthly chart. Now I put some Fibonacci retracements on, and now I'm using the low to high of this swing. You can use the entire swing, but I'm using this one here because, again, this is really where this move started from. Now, if the price starts to come down to this level, I may add a second Fibonacci retracement just by simply going to the lows, and up to the highs. In this particular case, you can see there's not, I don't have, except for the 786, 886 here, the 886 and 1.0. These ones are really clustered together. Other than that, they're just a little bit spread out. So if the price gets closer to these, I'm going to start using some other tools to see where some support might come into. Right now, I'm also seeing some potential support coming back into this area here. Let's just draw a little line right across there. That 4,200 level, you can see back here, there was a consolidation pattern prior to that very steep move down. And here, the market took a pause before getting back up through 4,200. So this is a logical place for the market to find some resistance, maybe a little bit below 4,200, but it may offer a nice, trading bounce back to the upside. I think we might see a little bit of two-way trading now this coming week. So now let's take a look at the NASDAQ and the Dow Jones Industrial so we can kind of compare where those two indexes are in comparison to the S&P. Okay, so here's the NASDAQ, and now here's the trend lines on the NASDAQ. Remember I showed you the two trend lines on the S&P futures. Well, same way that I drew them, and you can see that the NASDAQ made it to that upper trend line, which had a little bit more space in between than what the S&P had. And now it's come back down again. The RSI on the NASDAQ, a bit of a double top here. I'm sorry, I didn't point this out on the S&P. You can just sort of back up the recording a little bit, and you'll see that the S&P on the futures did not have really any type of divergence yet. But I think that if we get another bounce back up, like I showed you, I think it'll be forming a divergence on the RSI. The MACD is showing a divergence here on the NASDAQ. So again, I think coming back down into these previous highs as a potential for a support area and look for a little bounce back up. But I think we'll probably see overall maybe a little bit larger retracement. Okay, now finally, just to get some perspective on the Dow Jones Industrial, I'm actually using the futures, the YME Mini for this. And again, you see a lot of lines drawn. These are just showing this line here, support level. This is where an ABCD buy pattern completed and the rally up from that. But again, you can see the trend line that was drawn in well ahead of time came right up there. It got just a bit, it traded just a bit above, but it's closed below. And same thing, if it gets a move down and then back above this trend line, there's still resistance right here where this dashed line is. The RSI has not been as strong on the Dow Jones Industrial in this last portion here. There's some resistance areas here. This is where the RSI kind of broke to the downside with that. So we'll have to keep an eye on this as well. But again, I think a bit of a retracement now back into some support areas, and I think some back and forth movements coming in the next week or two. Well, that's it for me today for your Daily 5, and thanks for watching. And I always appreciate when people leave some comments for me. I do try and follow those. And again, feel free to visit me on my website, Trading Live Online. Have a great week, everyone.
Hey guys, Dave Keller here with StockCharts.com. Thanks so much for watching our video. If you enjoyed it, and we hope you did, hit the like button right below. Also, we have so much new content every day. Consider subscribing to the channel. Just hit the subscribe button in the video or right below. Thanks for watching. Stay safe. Have a fantastic day.